Suburbia company politics at all times. Like we buy it. It's just yeah. Still, right. Surplus contingency. Come on.
So I've been looking at kind of buddy just put up a
It's fun because my parents squidgy. It's actually 4 houses, but they're slightly shifted different ones. I usually get
how much was it? So we just put a smaller one at the farm. Okay. Stand by it.
Meeting.
Start. And so those rules have changed over the years. Sounds like, okay.
It is 6 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Yes, ma'am. I saw you coming. So.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask all of the members to speak clearly into the mic and lean into the mic when speaking. This meeting is being recorded, both audio and visual. The Planning Commission is a recommending body. All the proceeds tonight will be forwarded on to the county commissioners for their meeting on June 16th at 9 o'clock a.m. All comments tonight will be forwarded to them. Are there any changes to the, I guess we got to start with a roll call. So from my right, Mr. Glines.
Mitch Glines, Planning and Zoning.
Mark Schneider with Planning and Zoning.
Lila Spencer, Livonia Township.
Dalton Keiderling, Bull Rock Township.
Francine Larson, Blue Hill Township.
Steve DeMules, Palmer Township.
Terrence Van Dyke, Clear Lake Township.
Kathy Sims, Haven Township.
Bruce Abel, Big Lake Township.
Gary Gray, Sherburne County Commissioner, District 4.
Don Ihush, Sherburne County Attorney.
Lynn Watashik, Planning and Zoning Office.
Gary Winter, Planning and Zoning.
Okay, that's it. Are there any changes to the, has everyone had a chance to review the April 2016 meeting minutes? Are there any changes to it?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So
Move
moved.
to approve.
Then,
I'll second.
okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item number 1, Dr. Ashley Anderson Knock, requesting to amend the Sherburne County zoning ordinance, Section 7, Subdivision 4, Section 8, Subdivision 4, Section 10, Subdivision 4, and Section 16.2, Subdivision 4, to add a veterinary clinic as an interim use. Mr. Schneider will present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this has been kind of an ongoing process. We first saw this back in February. Following the February meeting, we brought this back to the Planning Commission for further discussion in April. What staff did then was try to update the ordinance in accordance with kind of comments received. So we are going to have another public hearing on this because there has been change from the original ordinance. So it was, determined that we should hold another public hearing for the ordinance to address those changes. We did receive additional comments from Blue Hill Township, feeling that, that is included in the board packet, in Livonia Township. And we also, Clear Lake Township, Bud Stimler from Clear Lake Township did discuss at the Clear Lake Township meeting. They felt that, the ordinance amendment, revised ordinance amendment was sufficient, and they didn't have any objection to the 5-acre proposal in the ordinance. That was not included in the board's packet. It looks like the township, the town chair sent it to the wrong email address, so I didn't have that, but he brought that up at the, right after the Board of Adjustment hearing. So I wanted to add that to the record. There is one more item. We did receive a public comment. I'll pass this along right now. That came in after the emails were sent out yesterday with revised public comments, and this comment is from Carrie Maurer, basically requesting that the board approve this due to shortage of veterinarian clinics in the area. Looking at her email address, or her email, basically stated that, there's a shortage of veterinarian clinics and feels that historically veterinarian clinics have been able to operate on small lots, and felt that, the acreage was sufficient and recommended the board to approve. So I did hand that out to the board now for their review. So following the Planning Commission in April, staff revised the ordinance to address the concerns raised at that meeting. The draft ordinance established standards for 2 different types of veterinarian clinics, small and large animals, across all the different zoning districts. The original draft was prepared by the applicant, Dr. Ashley Anderson. However, because the draft did not fully meet the county's needs, zoning staff prepared a revised version, which is included in board packet. Zoning staff did review regulations from several counties and found most do not have detailed performance standards for veterinarian clinics. That is provided in board packet attachment B. It provides a summary of those counties and township standards. Generally, many jurisdictions allow veterinary businesses through conditional use permit, but they rely on existing ordinances such as animal unit limits per the districts, rather than adopting specific standards for veterinarian operations. Many of those jurisdictions also tie the number of animal units directly to the size of lot, resulting in more restrictive livestock thresholds than Sherburne County. Sherburne County has pretty loose livestock and feedlot regulations as far as, what the acreage limit. We don't specifically tie it to, number of animal units per lot size. We just rely on setbacks and different performance standards. So staff has attempted to address the issues raised by the Planning Commission by creating those 2 different categories. And what you'll see in the staff report are those different areas. And so we have these different zoning districts where they would be permitted, conditional, interim, or not permitted. The intent of kind of creating the ordinance in this way is we're working on an ordinance rewrite, and the hope is that this would just, flow right into the ordinance, the revised ordinance that we're working on. And so some of the items that were raised at the April Planning Commission had to do with, acreage thresholds, how long animals could be on a property. And we tried to make a distinction about a haul-in same-day care. So instead of, having a 5-acre large animal veterinarian clinic where people would drop off their animals in the morning, the intent is that it's a haul-in same-day care. So it's, to try and eliminate the concern of animals staying overnight. Staff made the following revisions to the ordinance based on the Planning Commission's recommendation. So we refined the activities permitted for large acre animal care on 5-acre lots. That's that haul-in same-day care. Prohibited in the shoreline and floodplain districts, prohibited on residentially platted lots. Restricted the number of employees in the agricultural and general rural district to no more than 2 full-time employees. Established additional performance standards for carcass management, and established a 200-foot setback from all property lines for outdoor containment areas. We did receive several public comments. Those were sent to the Planning Commission as part of their packet, so it is included in their board packet. We did receive 3 different public comments, and it would be 4 now. That should have been updated to 4 public comments received after the board packets were sent out. So those were emailed to the commissioners. 3 were emailed to the commissioners yesterday, kind of with those updated public comments, and then the additional one that was received today, or added to the record today. So in the staff report, I provided the original staff comments just for reference. In that process, we did receive 34 public comments related to this ordinance. And so now what we're looking for is zoning staff is requesting the Planning Commission provide reason to approve, deny, or make suggested changes to this ordinance. So I'm here to answer any questions the board may have related to the draft ordinance.
Are there any questions by the members for the staff? At this time, we'll open the public hearing. I didn't quite follow your first comment. Is this going to go up for a public hearing again?
Yes, we will, yep, so this was legally noticed for a public hearing. So yes, we will need to open a public hearing on this request tonight.
Tonight?
Yep.
I got it, okay. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. We'll ask any people that have to speak on this issue to come to the podium, recite their name and address. Please limit your comments to the proposed interim use permit to 3 minutes.
Yep. So comment, just to clarify, it's for the proposed ordinance amendment, not interim use, but the
Beg your
proposed
pardon.
ordinance amendment.
Yeah, proposed ordinance amendment. Thank you. And limit your comments to 3 minutes. We ask that you not make redundant comments. If something's been said, that's enough. We don't need to hear it 3 or 4 times. But again, this applies only to the proposed amendment revision. Does anyone want to speak on this issue? Yes, sir.
I go to the podium.
At the podium, name and address, please, for the record.
Hello, my name is Ian McCoy. I'm with Greenstein Cellars, 121 South 8th Street, Suite 1450, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55402. I represent Ashley and AAA Equine as it relates to getting this ordinance amended. First thing I want to say is we want to say thank you to Mark. He's probably didn't know how much work this would be when this got started, and it's turned into a lot more, and we really appreciate what he's done. We stand by the position that the ordinance as written is excellent, and we request that the board approve it. I think it is good to keep in mind that this is indeed about the change to the ordinance. This is not about any one specific permit or request or any one person. This is about how Sherburne County is going to handle veterinary care permits moving forward. At the last meeting, there was some concerns about a 200-yard setback in Minnesota statute and how that was going to fit within a 5-acre lot. I just wanted to quickly point out, I spoke with Heather D'Amico, the senior veterinarian with the Minnesota Board of Animal Health, and she noted that the Minnesota Board of Animal Health does not have any statutes or rules that require a minimum distance between enclosures of veterinary clinics and property lines. The 200-yard is a very specific regulation under 1721.0260. It relates to one specific type of disease that horses can have, and it's a 200-yard minimum quarantine for horse to another horse, not to property lines. I think that kind of animal care is not going to be very likely in veterinary care. That has nothing to do if you treat bones, you treat injuries, you do vaccines, you do teeth. None of those doctors or veterinarians are going to deal with this very specific type of respiratory disease. And it's important to keep in mind then if a veterinarian wants to, that would come up in their specific permit. And that's kind of the idea is this ordinance is about providing that framework, but you still have individualized questions and focus that gets done for each person that's applying for this care. There's been a couple different comments. I know one letter at least that has been provided to the board that mentions that when it comes to professionals that have talked about this, 10 acres is not necessary for veterinary care. You have one of the largest horse hospitals this side of the Twin Cities has only 8 acres, and we're talking, an important one out in Buffalo. I think the professional opinion is what's important to note and how much space you need to treat a horse, especially when you're not boarding them, you're not keeping them for weeks or months or even a day on end. It's for in and out same day care, and 5 acres is well more than enough for any given day to provide that kind of service. So we ask the board recommend that this ordinance get approved as written. We thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
Derek Nelson, address is 18113, 221st Avenue Northwest, Big Lake, Minnesota, 55309. I'm here tonight in support of Dr. Ashley, AAA Equine, and more importantly, in support of fairness in small businesses and property owners in Sherburne County. What is being proposed here tonight is not a large commercial horse operation. This is not a boarding facility. This is not a training facility or an entire hospital. This is an appointment-based haul-in veterinary office that is limited in scope, no overnight boarding, no horse hospitalization, no long-term housing. Horses arrive with their owners, they leave afterwards. Frankly, this type of use is less intensive than many other permitted rural activities already taking place throughout this county. What concerns many of us is not just the ordinances at discussion itself, but the growing pattern we have been seeing in Sherburne County where small businesses, rural businesses, and property owners are forced into expensive, prolonged, and sometimes seemingly impossible permitting processes. Over the last several years, we have seen time and time again delays in permitting, expensive additional requirements being imposed, costly upgrades demanded before applications are even considered complete, businesses being threatened with enforcement actions while trying to comply, and small business owners spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to become permit ready before an envelope is ever opened. Many of these business owners are not corporations. They are local families. They are farmers. They are tradespeople. They're veterinarians. They're our friends and our neighbors. They are people trying to serve this community and make a living. At what point should the public start asking, when does regulation become overreach? Dr. Ashley has served this community, our horses, and our families with professionalism and compassion. The question tonight should not be whether someone dislikes the idea of horses on 5 acres. The question should be whether the specific use creates a legitimate health, safety, or nuance issue significant enough to justify restricting a local veterinarian from operating and a limited appointment-based practice. Last I checked, this is still America, where hardworking people should be free to pursue their livelihood, build a business, and pursue happiness without being buried under endless government obstacles and selective enforcement. The great Ronald Reagan once said, "Government's first duty is to protect the people, not ruin their lives."
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
My name is David Slipka. I own Rockiness Ranch as a training facility in Stacy, Minnesota. Ashley is our vet, and in the event...
Could we have an address, please?
Pardon me, sir?
I didn't hear the address.
Stacy?
A little more
Whole
refined.
address? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. 6175 Fawn Lake Drive, Northeast, Stacy.
Thank you.
All right. Part of the discussion was that it was addressed as far as large animal clinics. And I can present this to the board if they'd like to see it specifically. But I asked the question, is there a shortage of large animal clinics in Minnesota? And the overview was, yes, there is a severe shortage of large animal and food animal veterinarians in Minnesota. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has designated 15 regions across the state as official veterinary shortage areas because large animals vets are sparse. Livestock, horse owners frequently delayed by appointments and have long distance to drive for care. I can tell you that in most instances when we have a problem with one of our horses or a cattle or that sort of thing, the vet comes to our place. And if we do haul in, it's for a minimal time. And very seldom is it ever an overnight stay and that sort of thing. As far as the acreage, I pursued this and called the Department of Agriculture and asked them how they determined whether it was 5 acres or 10 acres or how they determined that. Well, this was originally based on feeding, on pasture feeding. Originally, when we lived in our other property, it was based on 2.5 acres per animal, and that was based on that we were pasture feeding, meaning grasses and so forth. So then, therefore, that this doesn't happen at her facility, it becomes irrelevant on the acreage, whether it's 5 acres or 10, because they're not housing and feeding animals overnight in a pasture environment. There was also an address issue in the prior meeting about a road restriction. I want to clarify that if you are going to have any kind of a road restriction on that road, then you better never let a dump truck, a garbage truck, or a delivery truck drive down that road. Most of us, most of the people here that have horses and that's for a facility are driving with a Class D license. We are regulated to 26,000 pounds maximum load weight, truck, trailer, and animals included. This is way under the scale of what the road requirements are on this road here. When this came about originally, the permit was granted and issued, and knowing full well what was this facility was going to take place. So I suggest that you keep your word and keep your and be mindful of that. Is that my 3 minutes? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
My name is Stacy Newstrom, 25825 112th Street, Northwest Zimmerman. I didn't prepare anything. I didn't know if we would even make it, but this is something that we've heard a lot about, and it affects our community, and more so the horse community. We put on a fundraiser actually in Princeton for foster children that serves this county that raises over $150,000 so far. We cannot hold that event without our vets. And last year, we almost had to shut it down because we could not hold that event without a vet willing to step up and be that on-call vet because of some of the most recent changes in veterinary care. We also need those vets so we can go to all of these events. Like this, it's one of those things where this little problem is obviously huge for this family and for us local, but also it's a bigger picture of how much the horse community gives back to everybody else. I don't think people realize, I mean, even the people that have showed up tonight shows just how big of a community it is and how supportive it is. But there is a big potential, like this is all gonna kind of domino effect, that if we don't have counties and communities willing to support these businesses, it does have a domino effect on others. I grew up, he was like a grandpa to me, that he was the head vet at the U of M for a long time. And, you know, I know what it takes to be able to practice with good hygiene. One of the reasons I moved to Sherburne County is that I asked them what your guys' ordinance were for how many horses you could have on how much land. And they just said, as long as you take care of your property and you manage your manure and you know, are doing it responsibly, the county didn't care. And I thought that was a really great community to be a part of. And I'd like to believe that we have that same support for the veterinarians and the people that really dedicate their entire lives to giving back.
Ma'am, excuse me, what's this got to do with the amendment that we're proposing?
Well, I'm explaining to you the importance of this community, of supporting them, and also that you don't have to have 10 acres in order to do this. I see. That it also is a domino effect of everything else. If we're shutting down people for these kind of minimal things, in my opinion, and I mean, it has a domino effect of all these other areas that do support this county. So that's what I'm saying, is that we're looking at acreage when you're basically anticipating a problem that hasn't happened. You know, that there's so many ways that this county can make a huge difference for all of us in this room, but also even broader than that by just working on an ordinance, making it timely as well, because these vets go to school and spend atrocious amounts of money so that they can do this. And now we're at the third or fourth meeting trying to help them go forward. All I'm asking for is to think about everybody that this affects. This isn't just a one tiny pool. This spreads very far.
Thank you. I should add that, according to the proposed changes, a large animal facility would be allowed at 5 acres for a haul-in same day. The 10 acres applies only to overnight, so nobody's trying to preclude any veterinary services or anything of the sort here. We're just trying to get an amendment to our zoning ordinances. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else?
Ann Felber, 25409, 189th Street Northwest, Big Lake, Minnesota. Chair, Commissioner, and members of the Planning and Zoning Board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. There is no doubt we need vets. It's just a matter of where they operate. And right now, vets are operating in Sherburne County. I will not restate the detailed conflict already submitted in writing to you. Instead, I want to highlight several critical issues about the ordinance that remain unresolved. First, the proposed ordinance includes no screening or meaningful neighbor protection requirements. Even the default standard of a 6-foot fence used elsewhere in county ordinance is not adequate for large animal operations. It does not screen elevated sightlines, outdoor treatment activity, trailer maneuvering, light, noise, or visual impacts associated with equine or livestock medical care. Second, the draft allows business operations as close as 10 feet from the neighboring property line. No other commercial animal-related or outdoor operational use in the county is permitted to operate at such a minimal setback. A good start would be 50 feet to keep all trailers, trucks, animals, and business operations away from neighboring properties. Third, prohibiting overnight stays for animals is not realistic for large animal veterinary care. Common emergencies like colic require immediate stabilization. Requiring a vet to send a sick or unstable horse off property is unsafe and could result in preventable deaths. This is why true large animal facilities are located on larger properties. Fourth, the ordinance is not aligned with the comp plan or existing commercial horse-related zoning ordinances. It sets clear expectations for rural character, intensity of use, and compatibility with surrounding properties. The proposed language does not meet those standards and creates inconsistencies with long-standing county policies. Fifth, the ordinance carries a clear appearance of bias. As mentioned, the individual who drafted it resides on a 5-acre parcel and would directly benefit. Enforcement also can't keep falling on the neighbors. That is not sustainable and places unfair burden on residents who are simply trying to maintain the quiet enjoyment of their homes. There is nothing in this ordinance about enforcement. For those reasons, I respectfully request the Planning and Zoning revise the ordinance to align with the comp plan, match existing ordinances, and free from any appearance of self-interest. Sherburne County residents deserve a transparent, defensible, county-wide standard, not one shaped by individual circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
Greg Felber, 25409, 189th Street, Northwest, Big Lake. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the board, for allowing us to speak tonight. We have to address the actual ordinance and how ordinances are done in Sherburne County. The ordinances and the IUPs, CUPs that have given us the most trouble repeatedly in Sherburne County are those that are cramming businesses that are loud, disruptive to the neighbors onto 5-acre properties in our residential zone. We have several of those that keep coming back to the board, and we don't need to add more to that. The idea that there would be a large animal veterinary care facility, that the animals would only come in and they would all leave, is fantasy. Even the applicant's own property, an animal came there and died. I covered that in my letter. Her actual staff includes about 5 people. In performance veterinary medicine, it is a large crew. So it is a problem. One of the things that the board routinely or regularly denies IUPs, CUPs, and zoning ordinance changes for are when it adversely affects the neighboring properties. You cannot believe that that a business that would have trucks and trailers coming and going all day long, noise, dust, and crammed into a small property would not adversely affect the neighbors next door. I mean, that would be, I'm sorry, I'm speaking. Please show some decorum.
Don't lie.
So those are facts. And for that reason, I would ask that the board stick to, do not adjust the previously accepted standards for Sherburne County zoning ordinance by changing this one to something that is simply not going to fit. Thank you.
Keep Sherburne County
Thank you.
HOA in Russia? Okay, thank you.
What about shooting bans?
Let's keep our comments.
That's a,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's enough.
Yep. We have a public hearing here. You have an opportunity to speak. You have your time. Please use that time wisely.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Go for it.
Will Newstrom, 25825, 112th Street Northwest, Zimmerman, Minnesota. First of all, I want to comment kind of on the trailering issue and stuff like that. We have garbage trucks driving down our roads all the time. It's no different. Other thing, there is veterinarians that deal with large animals on less than an acre in Sherburne County. Now we're complaining about a 5-acre lot. We have hauled into a place, got our vaccinations done, and there was a place in city limits that had done our horses. All she's asking for is haul-ins. There's no disruptive. There's no noises. Like, the noises that the horses make, it's peaceful. That's all I got to say. Like, give this lady her business.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
Hello, my name is Sarah Winkleman, 2623 125th Street Northeast, Rice, Minnesota. I am a professional rodeo athlete. I've traveled from coast to coast. My horses are very important to me, and of course, from the nature of my business, are requiring veterinary care frequently. I've seen a wide variety of veterinary practices operating in a wide variety of ways. All that to say is that, first of all, as a small business owner, that person has the authority to say, yes, I will accept your horse on my property. No, I will not accept your horse on my property. If the problem is too big for a haul-in, haul-out type of clinic, I wouldn't bring my horse there, right? First of all, if she says I'm not equipped to handle your emergency, I'm not equipped to handle your colic case where they might have to stay overnight, I don't want my horse there. She's going to advise me, he or she, the vet, is going to advise me, please take it to the University of Minnesota. Please take it to Anoka Equine. They are equipped to handle this case. I trust that every veterinarian across Sherburne County would advise if they are not able to handle a case on a haul-in, haul-out basis. That's primarily what I wanted to say, is that it has been mentioned that it's not practical that a horse wouldn't stay overnight. And it, in fact, is very practical and completely within reason.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
My name is Ted Slather, 14175 122nd, Norwood, Minnesota. We put on events, horse events. I'm also a part of the board of directors for the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association in the Great Lakes Circuit. We need veterinarians, and we need to be able to, in emergency situations, bring them to some place where we can get that care. And it's in having somebody like Ashley and other veterinarians is so important. And it's so rare to find veterinarians across the circuit, so whatever you can do to help with this. I mean, we all, almost everybody in this room has pets, and if there's an emergency and you need a vet and you can't find one, it's not good. And I just hope you take that in consideration and let Ashley have her business.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What are the wishes of the board?
And again, just to clarify what I'm looking from the board when we have an ordinance amendment, Planning Commission provide their reason to approve, deny, or amend the suggested ordinance.
What was that again?
I'm just looking for the board to provide their reason for either approving the ordinance amendment, denying, or recommending additional changes.
Thank you.
Mark, can you briefly, for the public that's here, for the board, give us a difference between agricultural, general, urban expansion, hamlet? Will you just very briefly give us a sentence on each one of those?
Yep.
Because that seems to be part of the...
So those are our zoning districts. The western part of Sherburne County is primarily agriculturally zoned.
Okay.
There are tighter restrictions on lot sizes. Minimum lot size out in those areas is 5 acres. We minimize residential developments because we do not allow roads in those areas. The general rural is more the eastern part of Sherburne County, where we see more standard residential development. We allow platted lots, with new roads. So you could have a residential subdivision with 20 homes in it in the general rural district. The urban expansion is kind of the edge of our growth areas of Sherburne County. Those have kind of mixed uses that can occur in those areas. We do see, opportunities for higher residential development or commercial or business opportunities in those areas. The hamlet is a new proposed zoning district that we're looking at establishing in Sherburne County. Right now, our hamlets are generally zoned commercial, and those are going to be areas that we intend for mixed use, residential and housing, and then commercial industrial are commercials where we have more interactions with, where the public are bringing in, purchasing things like that, versus industrial, where it's really intended for more commercial heavy traffic or industrial traffic, truck traffic.
Okay,
So different zoning districts, is what we're trying to accomplish here. And that was one of the things that came out of the original ordinance amendment.
Correct.
The Planning Advisory Commission asked that I break it down into the zoning districts to provide more categories. And then the additional step that I took was large animal and small animal veterinary clinics.
Thank you.
Mark, I have a question.
Yeah.
If this is approved, other people then can come in and request the same kind of use. Just because we would approve this doesn't give an automatic approval to the requester.
That's correct. So the requester would still have to go through the interim use permit process and comply with these standards and provide the the information that's outlined in the ordinance. So anyone that's looking to establish a veterinarian clinic, whether it be small animal or large animal, would, depending on their zoning district, fall under an interim, conditional, or permitted. And we made some distinctions where interim use permits, just for the broader group here, interim use permits are issued to an applicant and expires on transfer of property, sale of the business. So in our agricultural, general rural areas and urban expansion areas, we thought it was appropriate to keep that as an interim use permit. So as new people would request we would issue an IUP on a property, but should that change ownership, that they would have to request a new interim use permit to establish performance standards for how they would operate the business. In our commercial industrial areas, we thought if someone's making an investment in permanent structure development, we're not dealing with necessarily conflicting residential uses, that it should be conditional. And then, yeah, that's the extent.
Thank you.
Mark, where did the 200 yards and 200 feet come from in H7 and 8?
So, 200 feet, so I'll start with the 200 yards. So the reason the 200 yard is in there, when I was reviewing state statutes, the biggest thing that kind of came up related to 200 yards was carcass management. So if an animal dies of something along those lines, there were provisions, about how the carcass needed to be managed, and they established a 200 yard setback for that. The 200-foot setback is something that we do have currently in our zoning ordinance for feedlot operations from residential structures and neighboring residential structures. So we thought it was appropriate to try and connect it to an existing ordinance.
Okay. I mean, the 200 feet makes sense, but the 200 yards, it's not possible on 5 acres.
And that's for carcass. That's really for carcass.
It's for
so like
carcass, but
yeah. So if an animal dies on site, they have certain provisions that they have to, enclose that in, I think it's a vaulted type chamber, so that animal is contained.
But I guess my point is, if we're thinking of moving forward with 5 acres, that's not possible to meet that.
So then, it comes down to, a small animal, or a large animal clinic on 5 acres should not be dealing with carcasses, animals that are that sick where they're going to die from, the treatments. I think it goes more in line with, ensuring that the veterinarian clinic is providing the proper services. So if they do intend to do end-of-life services for animals, or if they have to put animals down, that they're on an appropriately sized parcel.
So then how do we deal with a couple of good comments, and I appreciated some of the comments out there about an animal that comes in that's fragile and they can't be moved? I mean, that seems kind of like a little bit of a slippery slope. So what would happen then if an animal was fragile, had colic, and died on site? That was one of the things that kind of popped up during conversation. Because that would not be the intent, but it certainly could be the outcome.
The intent was to try and, so the intent of doing haul-in care, basically, so it's not necessarily emergency care. It's intended
Okay,
for.
so it would not involve emergency care. That would be right in the use permit?
I think so. It would be established more so in the interim use permit. So if they're looking at, an applicant comes forward with an application, they kind of describe their proposed operations. Their proposed operations, if it's routine treatment. One of the things that, in doing the research on this ordinance, animal care has a lot of similarities to human care. And there's different types of, care that these facilities would provide. So, if we had an instance where, someone is proposing just a haul-in treatment where they're doing vaccinations, where they're doing floating of teeth, or doing those type of things, it, wouldn't be reasonable to expect animals are coming there and, passing away through the process.
Okay.
If they intend to provide more emergency services, then we would really start looking a little bit closer at the performance standards that we would need to have, and maybe acreage requirements for that type of facility. So when we're looking at medical treatment facilities, there's a kind of a large variety, and I think the applications are going to spell out the variety of services that they're proposing to do.
So there would be some really clear boundaries about what kind of animals are coming onto that smaller
Yep.
plot.
And so, in the ordinance, when we talk about submittal requirements,
Yeah, I saw that.
description of services provided by visiting professionals, proposed days and hours of operations. So, provide quarantine protocols. So there's things that we would have to kind of spell out in an application specific for that property, and this is what the board would have to kind of weigh. Is their proposed operation appropriate on the property that they're proposing?
Okay.
Mark, I have a question. So if an animal does pass away on the property, are there companies in this area, or I'm sure the horse people know, that come to take that dead animal away?
I didn't do a lot of additional research on, the.
Yes. Ma'am, with all due respect.
The public hearing is closed.
And I don't have that information.
I have an answer for your question, sir.
Public hearing is closed.
Public hearing is closed, I'm sorry.
She doesn't understand.
So I don't have that additional information, kind of what it looks like when.
Thank you.
Again, what are the wishes of the board?
The other comment I do want to make too, some of you spoke very, very passionately. Someone had made the comment that, why are you doing this because something hasn't happened? Well, that's what we do. We do the planning and zoning, so when something does happen, we're prepared. So we're not looking to poke somebody in the eye, we're looking to be prepared. And so when the question is asked, why are you doing this when something hasn't happened? That's what we do, is we try and prepare for what might happen. So.
And if I could just address the board, the board has taken time to kind of look at this ordinance and provide feedback. I've attempted to draft an ordinance that address the planning commission's concerns. From where the ordinance originally started to where we are now, I think we have a more robust ordinance. And I'll leave it to the board if they feel that we need to make additional modifications, or if you guys feel that the ordinance is ready to go, or if you want to make a recommendation for denial.
Mr. Chair, can I ask for, I'm someone that doesn't know a whole lot about horses, and I just had a question on the outdoor containment area. Is that only if, like, the horse is staying overnight, or would that be something that would be utilized if they're there for the day, like the horses would be outside during the day? I don't know if we need to have a definition or some clarification on that as someone that doesn't know about these things.
So what I'm looking at for containment is, I think it is part of the application process. So the applicant, through an IUP, would define areas that they would be containing animals, whether it be a small veterinary clinic and they have outdoor areas where they want the animals to go outside, use outdoor facility, use outdoor facilities. That could potentially be a containment area, an area where someone is, staging animals for service. So if it's a a clinic where they're doing vaccinations during a certain time, so they would have to kind of define that area on their property where animals that are receiving treatment are being contained.
So it could be for just day use or overnight?
It could be for the whole gamut of large or small or haul-in clinic services. The application would require them to define their containment area, similar to an operational area. Where are you going to be parking people? Where are you going to be, having commercial activities occur?
Just for clarification, this amendment to the county planning, the zoning ordinance, is for the entire county, not just one specific area or anything of that nature. I just wanted to make sure that the commission's aware of that, correct?
Yep. So we have two veterinarian clinics that we have in Sherburne County. They're small animal veterinarian clinics that are in commercial areas. We never really had a clear ordinance defining kind of standards that we wanted to see. This ordinance would accomplish that, and it would accomplish it across multiple districts. That, basically all our zoning districts are being addressed through staff's proposed ordinance amendment.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a quick question. I really do appreciate the comments, and you can see the passion. Screening was brought up. We do require screening on a lot of our other ordinances. Is this something that we would want? Like our solar, we require screening. Do we want to add screening within this ordinance? Question for the board.
That is an area that could, increase the standards. There was additional comments about setbacks too. So if the Planning Advisory Commission wanted to see improved standards for screening of operations, that's relatively easy to incorporate in an ordinance, in advance of going forward to the county board for final action.
I do think the screening would help with dust too. That was one of the comments we got from public comments on the email. That potentially right there, because the reason for screening when we're doing solar is for visual reasons, and you could argue possibly here for visual, but I think the bigger thing is, at least in my opinion, is for dust.
Well, once again, what are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair?
Sir?
I recommend that we accept the amendment to the zoning change, or for the zoning change, as proposed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
You want to do a roll call?
Do a roll call? Yes, ma'am. We'll do a roll call on the issue. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed changes to the interim use permits. Ms. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Kittling.
Nay.
No.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
What do we have here?
4 to
No, there only two said nay.
4 to 3.
3 did?
4 to 3, yeah.
4 to 3
Okay.
passes.
So,
All right, that's.
motion passes.
Well, I have one question for you, Mark, with this moving forward then. You had made the comment there's different types of care, all that type of stuff. Is that already all spelled out, or is that just gonna kind of be as it moves through, as different?
I think it would be,
Requests roll
the request would come in and it would define kind of the extent of their business operations. So that would be a requirement of the IEP process to describe the services that they would be providing associated with their business.
And how easy is that to defend?
I'm sorry, can you restate? How easy is what to defend?
Well, each one is gonna be individually tailored, which is what an interim use permit is. It just seems like it's a very fluid business, and that's why I'm asking how.
I would equate it, Don and I. So, similar to other IUPs that we issue in Sherburne County, we have an interim use permit for a home business and accessory building. They are as unique as people's ideas of, their work can be. And so each time we have to really define what that home business and accessory building is through the application process, so we can present to the board a very clear picture of what the applicant is requesting. So I would anticipate the same effort would be made through any IUP for a veterinarian clinic, a very clear defined scope of operation, business plan, so the board would have a very good understanding of what they'd be acting on.
And I think that within that, the reviewing body is always going to look at the specific application, how thorough it is, the specific land, district, those things, and as long as they're able to attach to those conditions or specifications on performance standards, how it doesn't create issues on, public health, safety, welfare, then those would be able to be best supported. So it's going to be how robust is the application, what do we know about the actual property, the surrounding property, and being able to evaluate all of those things so that those performance standards can ensure that those things are happening, in addition to what is already set out as the threshold standards in the ordinance.
Mr. Abel, we do need a reason for your motion.
I think that a veterinary clinic of this type, seated on 5 acres, is certainly, the acreage size is certainly adequate for this proposal to change our ordinance.
Okay. Okay, well, it's been moved and seconded, voted on 4 to 3 in favor of the proposed amendment. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, please.
Mr. Chair, if I may. Mark, did you just want to restate again the next step of this moving forward?
Yep. So this ordinance amendment will now move forward to the county board for final action. The county board can, do the same items that the planning commission. They can approve, deny, request additional changes to the ordinance. So there is one additional step, and that is county board final action on this. And that will be June 16th, I believe, is the date for that.
Is satisfactory?
Yes, I just wanted to let folks know about the next date. Thank you. And the possible actions.
Agenda item number 2, owners Lee and Rosalie Peterson request amendment to the Sherburne County Comp Plan land use map for energy production, installation of energy producing solar farm. PID 445-00032-2100, section 32, San Diego Township, total acreage 43.22 acres in the agriculture district. Mr. Glines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, Cedar Creek Energy owners are Lee and Rosalie Peterson. They're requesting an amendment to the Sherburne County Comp Plan Land Use Amendment for private energy production, installation of energy producing solar farm. This came out of the recent comprehensive plan that any new solar farm private would go through this step of identifying if the current property is suitable for private energy. As you can see, agenda item number 3 will be the actual solar farm IUP. With that, San Diego Township did comment, and their comments were San Diego Township is not in agreement to switching agricultural land to energy at this time. We would like to be able to research the hazards, et cetera. The board is in total agreement with this. Cedar Creek Energy is proposing to place a 2.475 megawatt solar farm on 13.74 acres of the 43.22 acre property. They have contracted with Connexus Energy on this. Currently, the comprehensive plan has this parcel classified as agricultural. An agricultural impact assessment has been completed for this proposed solar farm. Overall impacts to not prime farmland is 12.2 acres and 3.6 acres to farmland of statewide importance. According to the assessment, no prime farmland is present within the study area. As I had mentioned, pursuant to the 2040 Comprehensive Plan Policy, Statement 9, Strategies, a new land use was designed for energy production, private solar fields. This designation is intended to capture parcels being used to supply energy to communities and known areas being planned for energy production. Therefore, the county does require an amendment to the land use map as part of the solar farm IUP process to ensure that projects do not have adverse impact on natural resources and the living environments. With that, I can answer any questions, or the applicant is in.
I have one question, sure. Now, this proposal shows a paved cul-de-sac and a paved through road that aren't platted. How did that happen, and who supervised the construction? Does it meet township standards, or?
They are township.
Just curious about it. It's got
Yes.
nothing to do with this
No, they are
issue.
township roads. They were installed as part of the plat to the south. I believe that was in 2000, 2001. I think they were planning on future additions, but in the meantime, the ordinance had changed to not allow the parcels the size they are on 75% or less wooded. So right now in the agricultural zoning district, it's a lot more strict than it was when this development was developed in the early 2000s.
That's a heck of an investment.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well.
And they do require.
Any other questions for the board?
And setbacks are, since they are township roads, setbacks do pertain to these roads, the required setbacks.
Sure, sure. Are there any other questions from the members, for the staff? If not, we'll have the applicant come to the podium, please. State your name and address.
Hello, my name is Rosalie Peterson, 14807 63rd Street Southeast, Becker.
Okay, well, how many conditions were there? 22?
It's just the land use amendment. So right now, we're just looking for a recommendation to the county board for approval or denial of the land use.
Oh, for the land use, oh, yeah, for
We'll get to the,
revision to the map, yeah, yes, sir. Okay. Are there any questions here for the applicant? Again, this applies to the revision of the land use map.
Well, and Mr. Chair, you may want to talk about the proposed IUP for the solar farm, where it's located on the property, what the potential effects are, so that you can make a decision whether or not it should be located on this property before we look at amending the map.
Did that before with
Might be a good idea,
solar.
just so you have the whole picture. I think that's what we did previously.
We did do that for you, previous project for US Solar, so we did
Yeah.
kind of capture the introduce the IEP application at this time would be appropriate.
Introduce the third
The
item
interim use
then?
permit, yep, item
Okay.
number 3, agenda
right,
item number
so-
3. And then we can get a kind of a full picture of what the proposed project is.
Then we double back on the land use map.
Yep, so we'll make separate actions on both of the requests.
all right.
This would allow the public and the board a better picture of the, full scope of this project.
Understood. Okay, well then we'll move on to agenda item number 3. Again, owners Lee and Rosalie Peterson requested an interim use permit for installation of a community solar garden, photovoltaic array for generational electricity. Once again, it's PID 45-0032-2100, Section 32, Town 35, San Diego Township. Again, Mr. Glines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we had mentioned, San Diego Township did provide comments on this as well. The San Diego Town Board is adamant about preserving our agricultural land. We feel so strongly that we drafted a resolution with a recommendation for a moratorium to stop or at least delay until the county has conducted more studies on the repercussions the panels will have on the environment. We feel that the county is in complete control, so therefore they should be held responsible for the consequences. In the comments that were sent out to you yesterday, there was additional comments from San Diego Township. As you can see, there's not a representative here tonight for San Diego Township. So they did provide more comments that were sent to you along with, I believe, 3 public comments. And then, do you want to pass these out? And then we received additional comments today. And these comments, hold on, were from Miranda and Dennis Bechtold. Here. Yeah, Mark, you. Okay. As Mark's handing those out, again, Cedar Creek Energy is proposing to place the 2.475 megawatt solar on 13.74 acres. Again, it's going to be contracted with Nexus Energy. Most that we see are with Excel. This is a different line. All lines between the arrays will run to the existing pole at 57th Street, CASA 16. The cable run to the substation will be underground. The site will have approximately 5,200 solar modules mounted to a driven pile single-axis tracker system. The tracking system is installed in the ground with pilings at a depth of 6 to 10 feet. Again, an agricultural impact assessment was completed for the solar farm. Again, overall impacts to not prime farmland is 12.2 acres and 3.6 acres to farmland of statewide importance. Natural resource impact review was completed based on the desktop review in conjunction with the field investigation. 7 sensitive resources are known to occur within the project vicinity. You can see that in packet attachment I. Construction is targeted for spring of 2026. The working times are between the hours of 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. And currently it's Monday through Thursday. The applicant has requested to amend that to Monday through Friday in case there any overtime is needed. A glitter study was not required because the proposed solar farm is not utilizing a reflector solar system. The applicant will plant 2 rows of 6-foot-tall Black Hill spruce. As you can see, it's eastern red cedar. This was also requested to change prior to the meeting. The variance was denied prior to this, so we do have a landscaping plan that includes screening on the west side, which would be a single row or 2 rows staggered. 1 row would be Black Hill spruce, 16 feet apart, and the other one would be gray dogwood, which would be also 6 foot apart. And that has been amended or mentioned in the condition if that variance is denied. The applicant submitted an interconnection to Nexus Energy on December 21st, 2023, and the interconnection application was approved in 2024. The applicant can go further into detail on that. The applicant is proposing a 40-year lease with the lease running until 2069. 7 foot high. It is not an a chain link fence. It will be a wire woven with wood posts. That's more of an egg fence that we've seen. Will be placed around the solar farm. That was my error. Access to the proposed solar farm shall be from 59th Street, which is the township road. Wetlands were delineated in 2024, and the delineation report was approved in May 28th, 2025. Therefore, 3 wetland delineated with the project area. The solar project will impact 0.2388 acres of wetlands and has obtained a wetland replacement plan that requires a 2-to-1 replacement for a total of 0.4766 acres of wetland credits that must be purchased prior to obtaining a building permit from the county. According to the applicant's drainage memo, there is a potential for a hydrology reduction to wetlands 1 and 2. The TEP has recommended a monitoring plan to ensure there are no future indirect impacts. If impacts are determined at the conclusion of the monitoring period, the applicant will be responsible for restoration or replacement. We have included that as a condition to follow the wetland replacement plan permit 25-1916. And the applicant commits to providing a financial guarantee to ensure full commissioning is accomplished. The past financial guarantees will require the county board have $100,000 per megawatt. The amount of the decommissioning funds will be determined by the county board. With that, we did amend the conditions. Number 6, 7-foot-high wire woven with wood post fence would be constructed. Number 10, operation hours allowed during construction of the facility are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then number 15 has been amended, and Mark can pull that up. Must install a 6-foot-tall. Can you put it back up? I don't have the updated one. Must install 6-foot-tall Black Hill spruce trees along road right-of-way, CASA 16 and 59th Street of the solar farm as shown on site plan. However, trees will not need to be planted on the east side of the solar farm since there are existing trees. The trees must be planted staggered in 2 rows. In each row, the trees may be planted no more than 16 feet apart. All planted trees on the property must be maintained, watered as necessary for the duration of the permit. Any dead trees must be replaced on a yearly basis. And we would add the addition that the applicant will plant 2 rows of 6-foot-tall Black Hill spruce. No, is that the right one? Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. Right. The variance was requested to utilize existing trees. That was denied. So we would add on the west boundary of the solar farm, 2 rows of trees will be planted, 1 with Black Hill spruce and 1 with gray dogwood. So those would be the amendments to the conditions.
So
with that
amendment with 15 was
15 would be amended to Black Hill spruce, and then since the variance was denied, they would need to plant on the west boundary of the solar farm.
The west side or the east side?
West, the west side, the variance was denied. Along the county road county ditch number 19.
I see. Then 2 rows?
2 rows, 16 feet apart on each one. 1 would be Black Hill spruce and 1 would be gray dogwood.
Be what?
Gray dogwood.
We may just want to add the statement each 6 feet in height on those.
6 feet.
Yep.
So with that amendment, is that making them plant where the existing tree line already is?
So right now, the existing tree line on the west side is coniferous, so they would be planting along.
So that is the, okay. I was gonna say, I thought in the past, we said they had to plant, even if there's an existing one there, unless it's on their own property.
Yep, and that's what the reason for denial of the variance
Perfect.
was.
Thank you for the clarification.
I beg your pardon, was there two conditions changed?
3.
3?
Yep.
Which ones?
Number 1 was, number 6, it'll be if the fence around the perimeter of the facility exceeds 7 feet in height, will require a building permit with engineered plans. A 7-foot, instead of chain link, will be a wire woven with wooden post fence will be constructed. That's more of the egg fence.
Yep.
Number 10 would be operational hours allowed during construction of the facility are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then number 15 is the Black Hill spruce with the additional
Thank you.
information. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions for staff on this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should be directed to the county attorney. San Diego made the statement that they drafted a resolution with the recommendation to a moratorium to stop. What is that meaning to this board?
So if I understand that the county still has planning and zoning authority over this matter and not the township, correct?
Correct.
And so from a jurisdiction standpoint, I don't think it changes this board's jurisdiction. I would infer from that, again, their strong opinion on behalf of the township on their feelings about whether or not this is an appropriate use. But in terms of whether or not this board is bound by their request or their resolution for a moratorium, it would not be if they do not have planning and zoning authority over this particular issue.
You know, normally I would, I like to side with the townships because of their strong wording against this, but where are they? I think it's ridiculous for them to want to start a fight, and they're not here to do it. I get into enough trouble defending my township. I don't need to go after another one. That's my biggest problem, especially when they're so adamant on how they feel about it, and they're not here to make the fight.
And I just want to clarify, the moratorium was proposed after the application was already submitted, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, the township, both their primary and their alternate member were not able to attend tonight. They did ask if they could have someone else represent them, but per the rules for the Planning Commission, you can only have your primary or alternate attend. I don't know if, we did tell them they could have someone from the town board attend the meeting and speak if they chose to do so, but they would not be able to be on the dais or vote because of the way the rules are written for the Planning Commission, just to clarify.
Thank you for the
And
clarification.
after Lynn provided that answer to them, they did send a formal comment, which was included in the email.
Yeah,
So
I read that.
Yep, I just want to make sure that, full disclosure, the township.
Yep,
Yeah.
and again, it was very adamant on how they stand.
Yep, so.
Okay, once again, we have the applicant at the podium. My first question for you would be, do you understand the 22 conditions, and are you able to abide by them?
Excuse me. I am Alex Gast. I am with Cedar Creek Energy, excuse me, 3155 104th Lane Northeast, Blaine, Minnesota, 55449. I do understand the 22 conditions set forth, and we are more than willing to comply with them.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant? Hearing none, I guess we'll proceed with the public hearing. Let's see, and we got, basically, this public hearing is going to apply to both agenda items? Understood? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, if
Both
the speakers understand.
It will apply to both the comprehensive, or the land use plan and the proposed solar farm.
Correct, they can speak on behalf of both.
Okay, well, at this time, we'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this issue?
So, we can go ahead.
Thank you for allowing us to briefly explain our decision, and thank you all for letting me share our story with you and why we came to this decision. First of all, we have prayed about this from the start throughout the process, and we're trusting in the Lord with whatever the outcome is. The revenue is intended to help us pay for land taxes and insurance, which increase every year. My husband and I are Christmas tree farmers. We have had more than a decade of problems with what I call the 2 Ds, drought and deer damage. Much of our Christmas tree crop has been wiped out, despite our efforts to keep them alive and planting seedlings. This upcoming winter, for the first time ever, and for several years upcoming, the Christmas tree farm will be closed for normal-sized Christmas tree sales because of a very limited trees available. That was a great part of our revenue. The 2Ds won for now. For additional revenue, my husband added an apple orchard that seemed complementary to the Christmas tree farm because it was fall sales, and then we had winter sales. Unfortunately, we've also had issues such as hail, or this year, the Honeycrisp didn't blossom, which means no apples to sell this fall, or Honeycrisp apples to sell this fall. Personally, we use solar panels at our home, and we drive electric-type vehicles, so we believe in it. However, we don't believe solar is the end-all for all sources. We still believe coal and other sources should be used. Solar is only a helpful addition. We tried to be considerate of our neighbors. We thought of areas on the farm closer to our home, but the land wouldn't work. We asked ourselves if we lived in their houses, would we still do it? And we answered to ourselves, yes. I visited another solar farm before we made the decision. I listened and I heard no noise, but only wind or an occasional car drive by. I talked with a homeowner living across the street from the solar farm. He reported no noise and said he had no problems or complaints about living next to the solar farm. We purposely placed the project across 59th Street so it wouldn't be in anybody's backyard. We requested many trees be planted around the panels so that it would be hidden over time. You know, not too long ago, I noticed, I believe to be a new cell tower only blocks from our development. I didn't hear any information at all, I just noticed it. And it's funny because Lee and I had talked about adding a cell tower at one point, but we thought that solar panels would be less invasive and less ugly. Thank you for listening to me.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
could the applicant just restate their name again and address, just for the record? Thank you.
Rosalie Peterson, 14807 63rd Street Southeast, Becker, Minnesota.
Thanks again.
I am Alex Gast with Cedar Creek Energy, 3155 104th Lane, Northeast Blaine, Minnesota, 55449. I wanted to speak a little bit about this project, just to give some more information and some context as to why we as an organization have partnered with Connexus, the utility provider, to build this solar array. The project, as stated, is roughly 2.5 megawatts. It's going to use 5,000 panels. It's going to be a single-axis tracker that's going to use U.S. domestically produced steel, I-beams and steel components made in America to make American energy. The modules and the solar equipment that we're using, these panels themselves have an anti-reflective, anti-glare coating. Screening and low topography tracker where it's terrain following is intended to be used to keep the height off grade as low as possible for like visual obstructions. You know, the landowners have been great to work with. Just fantastic people. I can't speak highly enough about how great they've been as advocates. The energy that this system will produce will be provided to Connexus Energy. The substation that it will tap into can only support 2.5 megawatts of load. Connexus cannot put more solar arrays in this location due to the inability to move the power to their cooperative members' homes. You know, we plan to put pollinator-friendly plantings underneath the array, which will help increase biodiversity of bugs within the array itself. At the end of the life, we plan to fully decommission it and supply the decommissioning bonds. You know, once again, Cedar Creek Energy is committed to this project. We believe it will lower electrical rates for the cooperative members in Connexus, neighbors, people in the township, people in the county who use Connexus Energy. We're committed to all 22 of the staff recommendations and conditions, and you know, we built a very nice project, and we'll do a very good job for this community. So,
I would like to bring your attention to, I think it's condition number 22, maintenance. We've had some problems in some of the past solar farms with lack of maintenance, and I just want to stress that as a condition.
Absolutely, sir. It's one of the reasons that we want to move away from the eastern red cedar. We've seen a blight that's targeted them, and the trees die off. The Black Hill spruce product that we're looking, or the variety that we're looking to plant, has a better longevity, and it's one of the key reasons why we want to implement that product to maintain a visually pleasing and a well-maintained solar array.
And what the chair's actually talking about are the actual panels themselves. We've seen.
I'm talking about the panels.
Yep, the panels.
Your submittal to the board wasn't all that comprehensive, in my opinion. There wasn't a lot of talk about maintenance of the actual solar arrays. We learned a lot about the soils, the types, lack of agricultural potential, but I'm a little concerned about maintenance of the solar arrays themselves.
Sure. Cedar Creek Energy, we are a Minnesota-based company. We are based out of Blaine, Minnesota. We have around 115 employees. We have journeyman electrician, master electricians. We have stamping electrical PEs in-house. We are the developer, we are the builder, and we are the maintainer of this system. We will watch it and we will take care of the solar panels to ensure that it's working. We, on the back end, as being the developer, builder, and O&M, are financially obligated through our agreements with Connexus to ensure that this system operates. There are financial penalties to us if we do not take care of this system, and they are significant.
Can you talk about like how are you notified? How do you know that these are no longer working? Is it someone coming out and doing an inspection every month or quarter? Is there an automated way that you know that a panel or a row is out of commission?
Yep, it's a very great question. So the systems get what's called a data acquisition system. That system takes telemetry and control points from all sorts of different things. We get module cell temperature data, we get ambient temp, we get tracker motor position, we get air reporting. We have a on-site security camera so we can visually check the systems and make sure they're working. And anytime that something stops, we are notified of it, and we mobilize and take care of it and get it back into operable condition.
Any questions from the board for the applicant? Hearing none, is there anyone else out here wishing to speak on this issue? Kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
All right. Good evening. My name is Jamie Smith. My address is 6037 149th Avenue, Becker, Minnesota 55308. So I wrote this before the meeting tonight, and I just want to add that the meeting tonight actually gave me more concerns than what I'm going to read to you now. But good evening. I'm here today to voice my opposition to the proposed community solar farm being planned in our neighborhood. First and foremost, this is a neighborhood filled with young families and children. Traffic in the area is already a major concern, and the nearby intersection of 16 and 23 already experiences a high number of accidents. Adding construction traffic, maintenance, vehicles, and ongoing activity tied to this project will only increase those dangers. Has a full traffic impact study been completed, and how will our children's safety be protected? There are also serious concerns about the visual impact on the homes surrounding this project. Many residents will be forced to look directly at rows of solar panels from their backyards every single day. Some homes may experience direct glare from these panels into windows and living spaces. Has a glare study been completed? And will those results be made available to the public? Residents deserve to know how this could impact their quality of life, property values, and even potential long-term health concerns that have not been fully studied. This area is also home to extensive wildlife, deer, turkeys, countless bird species, and the sandhill cranes. All inhabit this ecosystem. Many of us chose to live here because of the natural beauty and wildlife surrounding our homes. There are growing concerns about solar fields increasing localized heat and disrupting the environment. Has the project fully complied with the PUC guidelines regarding environmental and wildlife impact studies? What effects will this have on nearby creeks, wetlands, and surrounding habitat? I would also like to know what types of engineering and environmental studies have actually been completed in support of this project. Has a historical or cultural resource study been conducted? Have any rare, protected, or unique natural resources been identified within this area that could be impacted by development? Groundwater is another major concern. Every home in this area relies on private well water systems. Some wells are shallow sand points, while others are much deeper. What studies have been done regarding groundwater impact, drainage changes, runoff, and possible contamination risks during this construction and long-term operation? How can residents be assured their drinking water supply will not be negatively affected? Another major concern is a lack of good faith shown through this process. We are being told barriers and screening are difficult, yet this property has operated as a tree farm for years. Hundreds of mature trees, many over 10 feet tall with intact root balls, have been removed and sold off over the last 2 years. These trees have been used to create natural screen, or these trees could have been used to create natural screening and protect neighboring homes. Instead, they were sold. That does not demonstrate a commitment to being a good neighbor. Many residents also fear this is only the beginning. How large will this eventually become? We bought homes in what we believed was a growing residential community, not next to an expanding industrial solar operation. Finally, what happens to this land long term? If this project fails or is abandoned decades from now, what condition will the ground be left in? Will the soil remain usable for farming, wildlife habitat, or future development? These are important questions that deserve clear answers before this project moves forward, in my opinion. And after hearing what others
Ma'am?
said today.
Time's up.
Okay.
I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
comments. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Oh,
Kayla Hovald. I live in 6138 149th Avenue Southeast in Becker, Minnesota. My family moved to this area less than 3 years ago, specifically to live in a rural setting surrounded by open fields, wildlife, and natural scenery. We were sold our lot and invested into our home with the understanding that the surrounding land was agricultural and it would be preserved to keep the rural character of the area. Learning that land less than 1,000 feet from our home may now be rezoned from agriculture to private energy production is really concerning for not only our health and well-being, but our long-term enjoyment of our home. My full concerns were sent via email, but I asked the board to consider the following. A 43-year rezoning request is not a temporary project. This falls more into a permanent category. This will continue to affect our community and the future generations, including our young children. Once the land is rezoned for energy use, it creates uncertainty about future expansion and development over time. Local residents fear that this approval, over time, the current proposal may lead to more panels and infrastructure being added beyond what is currently represented. Decreased residential property values are also a concern. Noise generated by transformers, inverters, and electrical equipment, especially concerning for families with hearing sensitivities or existing ear-related medical conditions. Significant disruption to the rural landscape, wildlife habitat, and peaceful environment that homeowners specifically moved here to enjoy. Those exposed to this EMF exposure for decades. Increased industrial appearance through fencing, electrical infrastructure, and utility equipment. Groundwater concerns in an area where water tables are already run shallow. Over a 43-year life cycle, how will this affect our waters? Long-term environmental concerns regarding panel deterioration, material breakdown, and potential contamination risks over time. I'm also concerned that the property owners pursuing this development are not adhering to the same neighborhood covenants and standards that other homeowners in the area have been expected to follow. Residents who purchased homes there relied upon those expectations and protections when making long-term investments in the community. I respectfully ask that the board consider the lasting impact that this project may have on people who already live here and chose this community for its agricultural and rural character. Thank you.
thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
Hi, my name is Jeff Dowd. I live at 15870 159th, excuse me, 1587 Shit, I don't even know my own address. County Road 16. I live about 2 blocks from where the solar panel is. I've been out there 35 years. I don't see why we need a solar farm there now. I know some of the people in San Diego are against it. I'm in San Diego Township, and I don't see why we need it. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue?
My name's Dennis Bechtold. I live at 5968 149th Avenue, the property that is in that cutout right behind the solar farm. We voiced our opinions and sent in our email. Just 2 things I want to touch on from what we've heard tonight. Connexus has a substation that they were willing to hook up to that can only support 2.5 megawatts. What stops that from changing? Power companies improve their stuff all the time. Then what happens? Do we put in more solar fields? The other thing I want to touch on is the variance that got denied. So now we have trees that are going to get planted in 2 rows, no more than 16 feet apart. Okay, 16 feet apart is a far part away, even if they're staggered in 2 rows. If we want to clean up our tree line, which is the giant buffer to the entire neighborhood, and limb up our trees and keep our trees healthy, what's keeping us from seeing through our trees at the solar field? It's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 At
have
this
a question.
time, you got a question?
I do
Yes.
have a question. I see this entire parcel ending in 2100 consists of 43.22 acres. Where on this property, that 13.74 acres that the solar farm is going to go on, where on the property is that located?
So it'll be in the northwest portion of it. We have, turn that around. Go back to the aerial and.
Okay,
So it's gonna be right here.
oh, okay, okay. And so there's a remaining just about 30 acres left over.
Yeah, that will remain fields or the trees. And as you can see, the property goes across the county road as well, so.
But potentially, well, never.
There are no plans for any future.
Exactly, that's, yes.
A-
We
and-
don't know what, never mind.
And we would consider that if they did expand.
Correct.
That's another consideration.
Yeah. Okay, that was my question. I just wanted to know where that was located on the property. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
One point of clarity, do you want to handle this as agenda item 2 and then 3, or how would you like
I
to
think
proceed?
I'd probably, what comes first, the map amendment or the actual interim use permit?
In the order of the agenda, we have the comp plan amendment. That's how we've treated these in the past. We typically deal with the land use change. And then if
Okay.
there are specific issues we need to address in the IEP, then that can be addressed separate through
Okay,
the
thank
separate
you.
action.
In regards to the map amendment, what are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, I wish to deny the map amendment, agenda item number 2.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And then we're looking for the reasoning behind it.
Reason behind my proposal to reject this is that there is a great effect on the surrounding neighborhood by allowing this map amendment. Things are a little different as they lie along Highway 10, and it's all ag. Currently, this is very much surrounded by residents.
Thank you.
Well, it's been moved and seconded to deny. Do we proceed with findings of fact on this,
Nope. So then you would just proceed to.
on the
a vote.
map amendment? All
Yep.
right. Well. All those in favor, say aye. We'll have a roll call, please.
And this is for denial. Is that, okay,
That's the motion.
Denial of the comp plan amendment.
okay, yes.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, well. There are 1, 2,
5-2, I think.
2 to 5.
First, yeah.
2 to 5.
2 to 5.
To deny the comp plan
Deny.
amendment.
All right, well. Then what's the point in proceeding with the agenda item number 3?
Yep. And on that one, you will have to make the findings. So you'll need a motion and then to walk through the findings.
Okay, for agenda item number 3, what other wishes of the board?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we deny agenda item number 3.
Is there a second?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to deny agenda item number 3. We will proceed to the findings of fact.
And I would just like to make sure that the board is clear and understands this. So staff provided some findings. These were staff recommendations. The board is going to be making, different findings on this. So the staff will ask you the question, but you're going to have to come up with your own findings on this versus what staff had provided. So,
Got it.
All right. Question number 1, that the interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the immediate vicinity.
The interim use would, allowing this interim use would affect the neighboring properties. That would be a no answer because of that effect.
Number 2, that the establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area.
That is also a no. The surrounding neighbors in their testimony with sight lines, property approximation to this, it definitely affects them.
Number 3, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided.
I think it's a non-issue. So I would say that, yes, they have been provided, but it's a non-issue for this application.
Number 4, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use.
Yes, there would be adequate parking off-street.
Number 5, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibrations, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result.
The answer to this is yes, because there would be no commercial activity here if this were to be installed.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to deny the proposed interim use permit. Again, we'll have a roll call, starting with Ms. Spencer.
Yes.
It's to decline.
Come again?
This is to decline.
Deny.
Deny.
Deny. To deny.
I still didn't hear that.
No.
It's
It's to decline. Yeah. No.
Aye.
Aye.
to deny.
Correct.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
So it is what, 1, 2, 5 again. Okay. Okay, that's been moved, seconded, and voted on that the motion for, or beg your pardon, the proposed interim use plan is denied.
So,
Recommendation going to the board would be for denial.
Correct.
yep, so similar to what we discussed on the previous request, this application will move to the county board for final action. The recommendation of this board is to deny. County board will hear this request on June 16th. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. Anthony and Gina Forcier, property owner of, whatever, Forcier Trust. Requesting an amendment for a rezone from agricultural to commercial. PID 25-00021-1405 and 25-00021-1410, Section 21, Town 35, Range 30, Haven.
Perfect. This is my agenda item. Let me get back to it. We had an issue there. I had to close out of the previous staff comments. They weren't loading. So Haven Township gave a positive recommendation to the rezone of these two parcels from agricultural to commercial. So this applicant is requesting to rezone 2 5-acre parcels from agricultural to commercial. The property owner has owned these properties since 1972. The property has long served as a commercial base for their traveling carnal business, Gopher State Expedition. Although the property is currently zoned agricultural, it has been zoned for commercial purposes. It was previously zoned as industrial 2. Since 1994, however, the zoning map classification of the property has been agricultural. So zoning staff attempted to determine, what if there was a specific reason why this changed, and we couldn't find a specific reason. It looks like it might have been a mapping error that occurred in 1994 that has continued on now for almost 40 years. So, so what we're looking to do is looking for the board to hear this request to rezone this to a use that it essentially has been used for a long duration.
And Haven Township is, we just acknowledge the fact that it's kind of always existed, and then it kind of went out of compliance, and we just want to bring it back in compliance.
And the reason that this became an issue is the applicant was pursuing a dealership license at this property in support of some of their existing activities, and we could not approve that activity without the correct zoning and then an IEP.
So it's dealership only, it's not for any type of, they're not going to worry about waste or anything like that.
Yep, so their existing, so just so I could state that their existing use is somewhat commercial in nature. They have a business that was already operating out there since the 1970s. So that will continue to be how this property is used. So it'll be complying with our ordinance.
I don't think we've ever had any complaints about it either. Have you?
I don't have any complaints on this property. It
I don't think we have
has,
ever either. So.
yeah, our records.
I was stunned that it's not commercial.
So this is an attempt to possibly clear up our zoning map where there was an error. No one caught it for a long time.
Got a question for you. It does only make sense, but is that considered spot zoning?
If you look at the packet for this application, it's not, because it actually is adjacent to a commercial zoning district, so it is consistent with zoning because it actually abuts it, so it's not spot zoning. I'll get you
Okay, just checking.
Yep, no, it's a good question. So if you look at this, we have, a similar use, industrial use. So our industrial and commercial uses are in our future land use plan considered consistent. So not spot zoning.
Okay.
Thank you for checking, though.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope.
Any other questions for the staff? Okay, if we could, at this time, open the public hearing. Is there anyone?
Have the applicant.
Oh, the applicant. Yeah, come on up and say hi.
He's been very patient.
Hi, I'm Gina Forcier. I actually live at 8814 Highway 95, Sauk Rapids, Minnesota. I guess I don't know what else I need to do.
Well, we are gonna have, there are no conditions on this one, right?
No conditions, but we do have to make findings.
We do have to make findings, okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions from the board for the applicant regarding the rezoning? Hearing none, then we'll have, we'll open up the public hearing at this time.
There you go.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this rezoning issue? To be rezoned. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, findings of fact. Well, what are the wishes of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the rezoning. What's that?
Second.
We will proceed to the findings.
Perfect. First finding, is a proposed rezone consistent with the comprehensive plan?
Yes, comprehensive land use map has this parcel identified as business and industry.
Perfect. Letter B, is the current use of the property permitted within the permitted zoning district, or will the rezone create a non-conforming use?
Yes, the current use of the property is to support Gopher State Expositions, which is the rezone. With the rezone, the use of the property will be consistent with the proposal of the commercial zoning.
Letter C, will the permitted uses within the proposed zoning district be injurious to health or interfere comfort and enjoyment of life or properties within the vicinity?
Nope, neighboring lands are currently zoned agricultural, industrial.
Okay. D, how will public services, transportation, schools, parks, fire be impacted by the proposed rezone? Will permitted uses of the proposed zoning district adversely impact or overburden existing public service capacity?
No, the change in zoning is not expected to have a significant impact on existing public services.
Letter E, is a proposed rezone located in an area that has the potential to adverse or negative or adversely impact natural resources such as surface water, groundwater, wetlands, or sites identified as rare biological habitat species?
The proposed use will not adversely impact natural resources. Any future development of the property will require permits from Sherburne County Planning and Zoning, and all development must comply with all zoning, subdivision, and stormwater regulations.
F, the proposed rezone have potential to impact ecological sensitive areas or historically significant areas.
The proposed rezone will not have any impact on an ecologically sensitive area, and it is unknown at this time if there is any historically significant areas on the land.
Great. And G, does the proposed property have sufficient size, physical characteristics to permit a reasonable use under the current zoning district?
Yes, there are 2 5-acre parcels, and any future development of this parcel will require permits from Sherburne County and will be required to comply with all zoning and subdivision regulations.
Lastly, are there any other factors that may be relevant to determine whether the proposed rezone is appropriate?
This property has been used to support the commercial business of Gopher State since 1970. This rezone better reflects the historic use of this parcel. Oh, sorry, parcels, as
Parcels,
in
yeah.
plural.
Thank you.
It's been moved, seconded, the findings of fact recited, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, TNG equipment sales. Interim use permit for a business selling vehicles, boats, or farm implements. PID 05-0021-1405, Section 21, Town 35, Range 30, Haven. Mr. Schneider.
Perfect. The Haventown Board gave a positive recommendation to approve the IEP request for business selling vehicles, boats, and farm implements, and auto dealership. Concern, it doesn't want to become a salvage yard. Operational vehicles and equipment should be operational vehicles. No repair work will be done on site and limited to 10 vehicles or equipment for sale or stored in the property at any given time. So the applicant is proposing to operate T&G Equipment Sales LLC, requesting an interim use permit for a business selling vehicles. They're proposing to use a 35 by 70-foot portion of the existing building for the dealership, which will include office space, restroom, single vehicle bay for detailing vehicles prior to sale. The applicants are not proposing to do mechanical repairs on site. Any vehicles needing repair will be done off-site. Adequate parking is provided. You can see board pack attachment. They have more than 4,500 square feet of parking space required. All dealerships have to have at least 5 spaces for parking in accordance with Minnesota Department of Public Safety rules. So they're adequately compliant with that. Hours of operation is Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturdays by appointment only. The septic system for the building was upgraded in 2025. According to the landowner, the existing building that will house T&G Equipment Sale has and will continue to be used to support the primary business of Gopher State, where they repair, store, and maintain vehicles equipment. And with this IEP request, we have 11 conditions of approval, which are consistent with other dealerships we've permitted in Sherburne County.
Any questions for staff? I have one.
Yeah.
The IUP is for selling vehicles, boats, or farm implements. Condition number 3 says, vehicles for sale or stored on the property shall be limited to passenger vehicles, light-duty trucks, and trailers.
Yes, I believe that's
Discrepancy.
So the discrepancy is the way the ordinance is written. So the category of use is a business selling, the kind of long category is, farm vehicles, all those things. But the applicant is only requesting it for a kind of a limited use. So they're defining what they intend to sell more so than what the IEP category would allow.
I see. Okay. Are there any other questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, I just
Pam.
wanted clarification on number 3 again, when it says trailers, are those like trailers you pull behind a vehicle, semi-trailers? What kind of trailers are we talking, or doesn't it matter?
Can we ask the applicant that question?
Sure, I just wanted clarification.
So yes, it would be, it could be campers, pull behind campers, it could be trailers, just like a flatbed trailer, anything like that. We don't typically dabble in boats, but it would just be something that you could pull behind a pickup or a semi.
So could it be a semi-trailer?
Yes.
So we may want to tweak that language of the condition that says passenger vehicle. Is that did we put that in the condition? Number 3, limited passenger vehicles. So it should just say, vehicles and trailers, maybe limit that light duty vehicles on condition number 3. So it's a little bit broader. So I don't want to put you in a position where if you had a piece of equipment, maybe connected to the business, okay, you have a semi.
We would never, T&G will not be selling anything for Gopher State expositions, like trailer-wise or anything. That is all done by Gopher State.
Okay.
It's typically an online deal, and somebody in our line of business that does the same thing, that's usually how we sell.
Okay. So
Gopher
probably shouldn't
State.
be restricted to passenger vehicles.
Yes, and I don't know if it matters forklifts as well.
It's not a licensed
It-
vehicle, so it's not something that's a registered licensed vehicle, so
No.
department, yeah, so they would
Okay.
not, Department of Public Safety would not regulate that.
Is that gonna require a change in the condition or no?
No.
Well, with the applicant at the
So we're
podium-
focusing on dealership licensed vehicles, so, when this comes forward from the Department of Public Safety, they'll say, do they have an interim use permit or a conditional use permit for the sale of vehicles?
I see. Okay.
Quick question, are you getting rid of the word light duty and just leaving it limited to vehicles?
So, limited to vehicles, trucks, and trailers, I think would be more appropriate versus, removing the light duty.
Thank you.
With the applicant at the podium, please state your name and address, please.
Gina Forcier, 8814 Highway 95, Sauk Rapids, Minnesota.
Are you aware and able to abide by the 11 conditions?
We are, yes.
Any questions for the applicant? None? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What are the wishes of the board?
I'm just curious about something. How did they upgrade their septic and not trigger a, isn't that part of the process?
So what happened was, before they submitted the application, we found that the septic, they needed a compliance inspection. So when you make application to the county, we check to see if they have a compliance within the last 10 years. They did not have a compliance in the last 10 years. The compliance ended up failing, and so they had to upgrade the system
So
prior to
this-
getting this process.
So this little error was discovered back then?
The compliance for the septic
Planning
system?
and zoning?
The compliance for the septic system?
No, I understand that. Is
Oh.
that where it was discovered that they were egg? I'm just curious.
So, yeah, way it was brought to our attention, they wanted to seek their dealership license at the property that they had assumed would be zoned properly for it. And
Okay.
that is what brought us, to this point.
Okay.
And all the additional steps that they've had to do since then, including the upgrade of the septic system.
But it sounds like this is a separate business from the Gopher State,
It is, yeah, it's T&G Auto.
so it's a different company.
Yep.
And you're not selling anything to do with Gopher State, correct?
No.
Okay.
Any further questions? What are the wishes of the board?
I make a motion that we move it forward.
I'll second.
Based on the, 11 conditions?
11? Yep.
It's 11 conditions, and does that motion include to remove the light duty portion of condition number 3, where we talked about light duty? So striking the light duty from that recommended condition. So it's just vehicles, trucks, and trailers.
Okay.
Do you need an affirmative?
Yep, I'm looking for, if that's included in your motion. Thank you.
Okay, who's the second?
It was me. And
We got a second.
Affirmative on the
Been-
second.
Been moved and seconded.
Perfect.
We will proceed to the findings of fact.
All right, that the IUP will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of properties in the immediate vicinity for purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values in the immediate vicinity.
The proposed use will not be injurious and won't diminish and impair values within the immediate area. The eastern side of this property abuts Highway 10 and the railroad tracks, and there are farm fields to the west, north, and south.
Okay, that the establishment of the IUP will not impede normal and orderly development and improvements of surrounding vacant properties for predominant uses in the area.
Yes, the proposed use will be selling used vehicles. It will not impede the normal and orderly development. The property has historically been used for commercial/industrial uses for many years.
Great. Number 3, that adequate utilities, roads, drainage, other necessary facilities have been or being provided.
Yes, there is no proposal to change existing conditions on the property. No concerns or issues have been raised related to drainage.
Okay. Number 4, that adequate measures have been taken or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking loading space for the proposed use.
Yes, the applicant has sufficient parking space to accommodate the proposed use.
And lastly, that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, vibrations, and none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result.
Yes, it will not cause offensive odors, fumes, dust, noise, and vibration to the immediate area. The maximum of 10 vehicles will to be displayed for sale, and there have been no complaints related to the historic use of this property.
Thank you.
It's been moved, seconded, and the findings of fact recited. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Gina.
We'll move on to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to agenda item number 6, Knife River Corporation, requesting an interim use permit for asphalt and concrete mixing plant portable. PID 30-00034-4400, Section 34, Town 34, Range 26, Livonia. Total acreage 69.10. Mr. Glines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, Knife River is requesting an interim use permit, and like the previous request, it's asphalt and concrete mixing plant portable in the ordinance. That's what they applied for. This is specifically for a concrete mixing plant, so no asphalt.
I see.
Which would not be permitted under this
Yeah.
IUP.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just want to get that clear right away.
Yeah.
So Livonia Township comments, Knife River was present to discuss the application for an IUP for a ready mix plant to the facility that operates under an approved conditional use permit. There'd be no changes to the current conditional use permit for the mining. They want to sell ready mix out of the location. Haas asked if they would need a well for that. They said they don't have one now, but would need a separate approval for that also from the DNR, and they'd be involved. Spencer asked if it would be temporary or permanent. They stated the county would only let them apply for a temporary. Again, in the ordinance, it's portable. It's not more duration, but more of how it's on the property, positioned on the property. They requested to follow up to the county, allow 5 years, and if longer, they would have to renew it and come back to the township. Discussion about the haul road for in and out purposes is already there and is set back pretty far off of Highway 169 with plenty of room to load trucks without backup issues. There will be no traffic on 112th Street. Hiller said there was an acceleration lane on 169 and should be fine. He has no problem with it. Will be a good addition for the gravel mine. CUP is currently allowed from 6 a.m. to midnight, which is actually 12:01. They are asking for a 5 a.m. to meet the needs of the contractors' workers to start earlier. They will be Monday through Saturday, and the ability to petition to work outside those hours if needed on future projects, which will need to be discussed at this meeting as we don't have any specifics proposed. They could work on a Sunday for specific projects. The existing CUP already has dust control in place, so they don't have to have anything additional. Kukowski has no problem with it and has Spencer to move to approve the IUP. Zach Carlton, the city of Elk River, just wanted to confirm that it wasn't going to go on to the township road, which turns into a city street. And Tom Cruikshank with MnDOT commented, they took a look at the IUP request and have no comments to pass along. There's an existing northbound right turn lane and northbound acceleration lane at their access. And this is an area, obviously, with the gravel mine, landfill. There's a lot of construction vehicles moving in this area with a lot of acceleration lanes for this type of activity. So the comments are Knife River owns and operates the Toth Pit, which is an existing mine located at 23107 US Highway 169. The Toth Pit operates under an existing conditional use permit for mining activities at that site. That's when mining was under a conditional use permit. As you see now, they're all under the interim use permit. And Knife River would like to add a portable ready-mix concrete plant at the site, which requires an interim use permit. The facility uses calcium chloride and water for dust control, with applications needed along both the site access area and the mine loading areas. Knife River has not received any complaints related to noise or dust from mine operations that they're aware of. The ready-mix plant is proposed to have a bag house to manage dust from the production of ready-mix concrete. The remaining practices of the existing dust management plan will continue to be implemented. The gravel mine operates with the requirements of the existing CUP, which allows site activity between the hours of 6 a.m. and 12:01 a.m. Monday through Saturday. The proposed operating hours for concrete batching ready-mix plant are proposed to be 5 a.m. to 12:01 a.m., so it'd be an hour earlier, Monday through Saturday. The proposed maintenance hours for concrete ready-mix are 24 hours a day, Monday to Saturday. Knife River does not propose any changes to the mining operations hours, and with that, staff is recommending 6 conditions. With that, I can answer any questions, or the applicant is available as well.
Any questions for staff?
Is this open to the general public or just licensed contractors?
Say that again?
Is this open to the general public or just licensed contractors?
It's just our people, and if we selling our product to another companies that have ready-mix trucks or aggregate trucks or anything, so it's commercial,
So it's only commercial, it's someone, you don't have a trailer that you are renting out to the general public? Okay, thank you.
Do you have questions for staff, or do you want the applicant up there?
I can answer, we can have the applicant get up to the
Either
podium,
one.
state your name and
Let's have the
address. and-
applicant up there. Please state your name and address, please.
I'm Steph Basgard. Address is 3702 Countryfield Lane, southwest Bemidji, Minnesota. And I represent Knife River. We also have our consultant here, Jeff, from More Engineering, if there is any questions. But
To spell my name, so
yep.
last name is Madejcek. That's M as in Mary, A, D as in David, E, J, C as in cat, Z as in zebra, Y, K. I live at 3856 Pascolo, Pascolo, Bend in Chaska, Minnesota, 55318. I work for More Engineering, assisting Knife River.
And now you know why I didn't say his last name, right?
Okay. Are there any other questions for the applicant? None?
If there isn't, just for clarification, I found a couple things in the write-up that is just wording that I wanted to make sure that, we're not hiding anything or anything else. It said on there about there's no traffic on 112, but we would drive on 112 if somebody bought ready-mix from us or aggregate if they lived on that road, but our traffic is not there in general.
The CUP for the existing mine does have a condition that if there was a temporary access from that road, but it's not the main travel corridor and it's not the site access point.
Correct.
Any other questions?
And one other thing on the, and it's more for knowledge, just for if people have any questions for you, we said in the bag house for production of our ready-mix concrete. The bag house is used for when we're unloading powder, the cement that actually goes into the production of the ready-mix, but we don't use the bag house during the production of ready-mix. But that's why the bag house is there, is for the powder receiving. Just a little clarification, yes.
In the process of making the concrete, are there odors or smoke or dust or?
None that I'm aware of, I guess, but we do more odors and things on the asphalt plant, but the ready-mix is pretty non-invasive.
Any other questions? Are you familiar with the 6 conditions and able to abide by them?
We are and we will.
Understood, yeah. All right, at this time, we will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Yep, all right. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll recommend approval of the request for, let me see, okay, for an interim use permit for concrete mixing plant at the address stated.
With the 6 conditions.
Yes, with 6 conditions.
Is there a second?
Second.
We will proceed with the
Findings.
finding of fact. Mr. Glines, I
All
believe.
right, Lila, you ready?
Yes.
All right, number 1, that the interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish and impair property values within the immediate vicinity.
Yes, a portable concrete mixing plant is a permitted use with the proper permits from the county. The conditions established under this interim use permit should mitigate injurious impact on properties in the immediate vicinity.
Number 2, that the establishment of interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for uses predominant in the area.
Yes. There have been no complaints to the zoning office related to the current gravel mine. There are 4 active gravel mines and a landfill in the immediate vicinity.
Number 3, that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided.
Yes, the main access point is off Highway 169, which also houses the security gate at the entrance to prohibit access when the mine is closed, and the posted signage with emergency contact information.
Thank you. That adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide sufficient off-street parking and loading space to serve the proposed use.
Yes, the property is large enough to accommodate the operation and equipment and employee vehicles while the mine is in operation. Access to the portable mixing plant is from US Highway 169, and there is adequate off-street parking for trucks entering this property.
That adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, and vibrations so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs and other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result.
Yes, the facility uses calcium chloride and water for dust control, with applications needed along both the site access area and in the mine loading areas. Site activities are conducted to be in accordance with Minnesota noise standards outlined in Minnesota Rule 7030.0040. Knife River has not received any complaints related to noise or dust from mine operations. The ready mix plant will have a bag house to manage dust from the production of ready mix concrete. The remaining practices of the existing dust management plan will continue to be implemented.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been moved, seconded, and findings of fact recited. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Does it go to one more board?
June 16th. Yeah, 16th. Thank you.
Thanks for your application.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, request for the adoption of the Sherburne County zoning ordinance.
Thank you very much. I gotta go. I'm going to an all-day field trip tomorrow.
Rescind the Sherburne County zoning ordinance number 002, adopted July 5th, 1994, and adopt the Sherburne County zoning ordinance number 292 in its place, provided for related administrative actions. Holy cow, 290 ordinances?
Well, a lot of amendments.
Mr. Glenn.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we are getting to that point. So with that, with the completion of the 2040 comprehensive plan in 2023, the Planning and Zoning Office was tasked with also updating the zoning ordinance, which was last updated in 1994. In June of 2025, the Planning and Zoning Department, with the support of Bolton and Mink, started the process of updating the Sherburne County zoning ordinance. This followed the previous year of updates to state mandated and model ordinances, were shoreland, cannabis, floodplain, and SSTS, or septic systems. Over the past year, zoning staff and the consultant worked to engage an internal and external steering committee to help guide the updates. Efforts were also made to consult with the townships under our zoning authority on changes that would directly impact land use regulations in their townships. The update to the zoning ordinance took guidance from the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, specifically Chapter 6 Implementation, which highlighted specific action steps to accomplish key policy areas in the plan. Key action steps included removing barriers that limit residential development in our agricultural zoning district, better define the growth areas and standards in the urban expansion district, and create new hamlet and shoreline residential zoning districts, explore reductions to platted lot size in existing zoning districts, and revise the zoning ordinance for consistency and ease of use. This updated ordinance will accomplish a much-needed update to the format and function of the zoning ordinance that zoning staff could not accomplish without the support of our consultants. Specifically, when we did those model ordinances, we took them from the state. They did not match our current ordinance, so we had a lot of mismatching ordinances as far as font and sections and subdivisions. This one-year process was not intended to be a complete rewrite of the county land use regulations, but it allowed us to address common issues staff and our residents face. As we can discuss, those line items I had sent out, a lot of these do come from regular inquiries we get from developers or residents. But again, we can go over those in a bit. And over the coming years, zoning staff will continue to engage with townships and other partners to better refine the county zoning ordinance to address key issues, revise performance standards for existing and new land use types, and new and updated mandated regulations. So with this, I mean, we did plant seeds with the townships of what we, as our external or our steering committee, all the discussions we had. So when we had sent things out to the townships, those were from the steering committee discussion. And again, it's one thing that we wanted to get it out. Obviously, the feedback we got was not supportive of a lot of the, the memos that we sent out as far as minimum lot size or, hamlets or soil separation. But again, this update will help us in the future. This is the base, but we're going to continue to work with you, all the townships. We want to have discussions. We want to go out there and discuss these more with the townships. This is just the base. And again, getting the format more user-friendly and adjusting minor performance standards or major, as how you look at it, based off, again, interactions with residents, developers, townships, et cetera. So, Mark, you have anything to add?
So we had our timeline, we kind of had a budget and a one-year timeline to complete the project. We've kind of exhausted the timeline and the budget for this work. We recognize that there's additional things that have to happen with this ordinance that we'd like to see happen that kind of come out of the policies of the comprehensive plan. So it's going to require further, engagement with our townships. So the townships that have hamlets, there'll be further discussions about, what we, would like to maybe see accomplished out there. There's additional things that we may have to discuss about lot sizes in our agricultural areas. So there'll be continued meetings with our townships, but this gives us really the formatted ordinance, cleanup language in that ordinance to allow us to move more efficiently through that. So going forward, we'll have a good base to work off of, but we still do have additional work to do on the zoning ordinance and updates to certain performance standards that we think we'd like to see in Sherburne County. But we didn't have the full time to kind of vet everything out. And this is the public hearing associated with this, so this is a legally noticed public hearing. Any kind of changes that we see to this ordinance, will take us some time to make some revisions. We are still waiting, Mitch, for example, official comment from the DNR. So we sent this to the DNR under their official kind of procedures. They have not provided us with their kind of blessing on this yet, so we still have to get that before we can move this forward to county board for approval. And we do anticipate, some of the revisions that, comments and feedback that we got, will take it probably an additional month for staff to kind of work through those revisions. Additional comments from our county attorney's office to make sure that we have a fully completed ordinance. If there's substantial changes to the ordinance between now and county board, we likely will bring this back for another public hearing. Just to kind of similar to what we did with the vet ordinance, if we make major changes, we want to make sure that we're, being forthright and giving the public an opportunity to comment on it. So today, we're looking for feedback that the planning commission may have on the zoning ordinance. We do have a zoning map amendment, or sorry, a new official zoning map proposed also in the agenda, and we also have the subdivision ordinance. So we have 3 items associated with the ordinance work tonight.
And this goes to the county board in June?
So we likely will probably bring this to the county board in July.
In July.
Give us sufficient time to make kind of any revisions, kind of finalization of this document before it goes back to the county board. If we make any kind of substantial changes, we'll bring it back to this board for their feedback. So right now, we're not proposing any real substantial changes. Most of the changes will be more administrative or technical, maybe technical changes in the ordinance that the county attorney's office may want to see, or if the DNR provides us some additional feedback also.
So you're willing to receive some more irritating comments from
I am willing to receive some more positive comments from this board and all the other boards that are other people.
I appreciate your very thorough review of the zoning ordinance.
I guess at this time we'll open the public hearing.
And I think we probably can follow.
Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Dan? I'm in favor.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Let's close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Agenda item number 8.
So we do, so we're still on this. So we close the public hearing, but regarding agenda item number 7, the ordinance amendment, does this board, this would be the time for the board to provide us kind of comments or feedback specific on the drafted ordinance.
So I'm looking at page 46, 3 options to choose from to the new Board of Adjustment findings. So that'll go, is that going to go to the Board of Adjustments for them to make a decision or recommendation, I should say?
We weren't planning on sending that to the planning or the Board of Adjustment.
So what are the options?
So let's go to that.
A, B, or C.
Yeah, I saw that.
What page is that on?
46, it said.
No, it's probably administration.
You had 3 options for the findings of fact, wasn't it?
Yes, for the Board of Adjustment, we had 3
Board
options
of
for the
Adjustment, so-
findings of fact. Right now, we have 11 of them. These ones would get us back to where we were before we changed to 11 to 5 or 6 simple.
Okay.
I think you want to take the S off, Mark. That might take care of it. Or maybe not.
Dispute under administration.
Is it findings of fact? I would think, but I don't know. Otherwise, isn't it
There it
under
is. It's right there.
All right.
administration?
So we're
Okay.
up. So this is one thing that we did want to, present to the board as, the different scenarios. We do have a couple of people who have served on the Board of Adjustment in the past or do serve on the Board of Adjustment in the past. If you have an opinion on which of these they think is a better fit for us moving forward, we would take that, incorporate that into our recommendation for the county board.
I strongly suggest and recommend that we send this to the Board of Adjustment members, let them look at it and view their opinion and how they'd like to approach it. They're the ones that are dealing with that problem.
Yep, we can definitely do that. So,
We will do that tomorrow.
which is on it.
Good idea.
Ooh. And then there was, oh yeah. Let's just pick this one. The it went to environmental performance standards, and it was D.
For shoreland residential?
Yeah.
What page? Oh, I see, okay.
But it says here, for properties outside the shoreland overlay district, impervious surfaces shall be less than 50% area for any existing developed lot and 35% of a lot for any new development. I have an issue with that, with the watershed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that, so right now, the way it's written, outside the shoreline overlay district.
Which is 1,000 feet.
Or 300 feet from a river. Yep.
So what about, I mean, when I looked at the map, I didn't see any lines around the creeks and everything else, but are we gonna be staying away from that too?
So the residential shoreline district is primarily focused on existing developed properties. So it would not, so it's not a blanket, so like by creating the shoreline overlay district, it doesn't go to every shoreline district. It's focused on the map. So if you look at the zoning map, only the areas that are proposed for shoreline overlay districts would be affected by this ordinance.
But this says it's for properties outside the shoreland.
That's if it's shoreline residential. So we have the 1,000 feet, but there might be properties that are zoned shoreline residential, but they're outside of the 1,000 feet.
Right.
They'd still have to have those performance standards.
So let's.
But if you're within 1,000 feet, 25% impervious still applies.
Still applies, it's shoreline
Okay,
rules, yeah.
just making sure.
So we're actually putting extra performance standards if you're shoreline residential, but you're outside of the 1,000 feet.
What kind of a situation would that be?
Any new residential development, say, I'm trying, like, for feet, for, what's,
Sleepy Oaks.
Sleepy Oaks, there are areas that are outside of that 1,000 feet that are still part of the shoreline residential. They wouldn't have any, right now, they wouldn't have any performance standards. They could go over 25% because they're outside of that.
Okay.
But if they shoreline residential and they're still outside of the 1,000 feet, they would have performance standards, which they don't have right now.
So if we look at the map that's up right now, so we have Briggs Lake and we have Elk Lake. The area where my cursor is likely, exceeding 1,000-foot setback, but it's existing residential developed areas. So those are going to get captured in this shoreline residential.
It's within that 1,000 and it extends out, so it's included.
So then they're included in the additional performance standards in those areas. So we have areas that have existing development, we've tried to capture them in the shoreline overlay district, and now they're going to have additional performance standards on those properties that didn't exist prior.
Here's a good example.
Okay. All right, I'll buy that.
This one right here. Those are outside of the 1,000 feet, but there still would be shoreline residential. So as of right now, there would not be any requirements for impervious surface. This one would have
that additional constraint. And part of the thought process is most of those lots are very substandard lots. So you're dealing with lots that are half acre or less in size. So there's a legal lot of record. We still want to have some performance, so the lot is just not covered, with 70% impervious surface.
because it's outside of the 1,000
Sure.
feet.
Okay.
So we are trying to capture some of the
Gotcha.
additional stormwater issues that might occur in those overall watersheds with this additional constraint in this specific zoning district.
Okay.
And we did redefine our shoreline residential with that proposed zoning map to include those existing developed lots, not 1,000 feet around the whole. If someone were wanting to do a shoreline residential, they'd have to request a rezone, but we just wanted to capture those existing residential developments around the lots that are more or less non-conforming lots.
Okay.
So our comp plan took a little bit bigger approach. Our future land use map, we did do buffers around, most of our developed lakes of 1,000 feet. When we came into the zoning ordinance, if we had properties like Eagle Lake, what's one north of Eagle Lake?
The shores.
Shores of Eagle.
Shores of Eagle Lake. We did not apply those, we didn't want to get that area
Going down,
captured. Eagle Lake, where are we at?
right there.
So if you see the north side, these are lots that were developed with, current regulations for stormwater management. The lots are adequate in size, so we didn't place additional constraints on those because they already should be complying with a higher standard because the lot size is already larger. So the zoning map was more of a precise identifying properties that have characteristics of smaller lot sizes, more non-conforming lots of record, and try to capture additional performance standards. And one of the things was make a reduction in setbacks for those lots where we already have a lot of development that's very close to the roads.
On township roads.
Yep.
Okay. And segue into that. For page 68, you were talking about the setbacks to township roads in the shoreland residential district. You got 25 foot to the right of way, which I got no problem with that. And then you go further and you say 50 feet to the center line. Well, it changes the offset from the road right of way because most of our road right of ways are 40 feet.
So that'd be for non-platted lots. So for platted, the setbacks are always to the right of way. And then for non-platted, it's to the center line. So these would be for non-platted lots, which we don't have many, but we have to identify any lots that are non-platted. They need a setback.
Because that will increase on some of those.
So in our ordinance right now, administratively, on township roads, you can line up with your neighbors if you don't go any closer, but you still have to be at least 50 feet from the center line in the current ordinance, so we stuck with that for non-platted. But typically with all those developments around the lakes, it's gonna be platted, so it's gonna be 25 feet to the right of way.
Had to place a performance standard in place for unplatted lots.
You had to throw it somewhere.
Come up. So we thought it was appropriate to use kind of an existing setback that we have already established.
Okay.
It looks like under minimum lot width there on the second category, it says 150 feet, and then under that it says recreational, and then under that it says 200. I think you want to add feet after 200. Looks like it just got missed.
Yep.
And I didn't find that on page 108, it said added accessory dwelling units to a shoreland overlay district. I didn't find that.
Yep, so for the shoreland overlay, we reserved the spot. In the model ordinance, it was guest cottages. The DNR had, we had inserted accessory dwelling units where it was reserved for guest cottages. So do you want to look up the shoreland overlay? And that's when you're talking about, right, the shoreland overlay? Yep, keep going down.
So the distinction is, so the shoreline overlay district, we previously did not have ADUs in there, and they are permitted by the DNR, but at a smaller standard than other areas, so.
Would be right there, B.
So this didn't exist in our current shoreline ordinance. So this is essentially new language that we're looking to incorporate in there, and we're just doing it in accordance with what the state rules allow. State rules allow for, they call it guest cottages. We're using the term ADUs to be consistent in our ordinance. And the DNR shoreline rules restrict ADUs, and the shoreline overlay district did not exceed 700 square feet, which is more restrictive than what we currently allow in our other zoning districts. So if you have a property, it's in a shoreline overlay district, you now could request an accessory dwelling unit, but it can't exceed 700 square feet. And there's also additional requirements about
They have to
lot
be
size.
duplexes. They have to
So-
meet this.
Well, I'm assuming that the 25% will kick in too.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But then the lots have to at least be the size of a duplex. So for general development lake, if it's riparian, it has to be at least 40,000 square feet and 180 feet wide. And if it's non-riparian, the lot has to be at least 80,000 square feet and 260 feet wide. So these are huge.
Point is, you're not going
lots.
to see a lot of ADUs in the shoreline district due to these constraints. But if you have a large lot in the shoreline overlay district, you can do ADUs, but you're not going to see a, increase of, ADUs on the
Really?
non-conforming lots, which is appropriate because we have limited septic capacity and things like that. So, and impervious surface restrictions. So the DNR has pretty tight screws on the ability to have secondary dwellings in the shoreline overlay district, and we're just adhering to that.
Could I ask you to go to page 193?
Might be different because might not match up from what was sent out because we had cleans.
So what is the area specifically? Or what?
Go to 193 or yeah.
It's a land use table.
Yeah.
The bottom of the page, it says 184 unless you've got to go to 193 on the actual
On the
numbers.
draft that I had, I thought it was 193.
But it's in the land use table is what you're looking at?
Yep, land use table.
Where'd that get moved to, Mitch?
It's higher up. Right there. No, keep going up. The definitions or what?
No, land use table.
Find it.
Mhm.
Should do Word docs, we can do that.
All right, we're in the land use table. Which item?
It was just the whole table.
Yep.
That got moved up.
You had what?
It got moved up
That moved up.
from where it was initially.
It needed editing. Okay, that was my big issue.
The editing or?
Hmm?
Editing?
Yeah, it was all, according to the draft that I got, it was all crossed out.
Oh. This, we saved the Word doc into the PDF and
I see.
non-marked up.
Okay. Can we move on to agenda item number 8? Agenda item number 8, request for adoption of the official Sherburne County zoning map. Rescind the official
Oh, we're just,
Sherburne County zoning, the official Sherburne zoning map, Sherburne County zoning, last amended
They want to do
on August 9th, 2025, and adopt ordinance number 298 as the new official Sherburne County zoning map to align with the new Sherburne County zoning ordinance. This is Mr. Glines.
Yes, so this zoning map, we updated it with the proposed new zoning districts, specifically shoreline residential and hamlet. So what we did was we took the hamlet boundaries that are right now, which were industrial or commercial, again in the hamlets, and we kept the same boundaries other than Palmer. I believe we added the Briggs store, which was, was it industrial or commercial?
Might have been.
No, it's agricultural. Yeah, so right now the Briggs store was zoned agricultural.
I'll tell Mitch.
Yeah, tell. And so we expanded that hamlet down to the Briggs store, which was, again, zoned ag. And so we kept the same boundary. If anyone wanted to rezone an area of those hamlets to hamlet to allow for either residential or another use, they would have to rezone it, which would obviously go through the township for their approval as well. And then the shoreline residential, we narrowed it down to the existing developments around the lakes, with the exception of the shores of Eagle Lake, to really target those non-conforming lots with those setbacks. So that's all you're gonna see with the zoning map update, are those two zoning districts.
Yeah, so you think about the zoning map as it's looked since 1994. It's going to remain very consistent, but we had to establish the boundaries of the new zoning districts for Hamlet and Shoreline Residential. You know, again, the zoning map is a more precise location of these new zoning district and boundaries, where the future land use map for the comp plan has broader areas. So people have the opportunity to expand the urban expansion, or urban growth areas, urban expansion, or they have the opportunity to request an amendment, a zoning amendment, to expand the shoreline residential in those areas. But we're not doing a wholesale change of the zoning all around, you know, to match the county's comprehensive land use, future land use map.
Is
So-
San Diego not Hamlet?
It is.
Oh. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Sorry.
And again, that was a larger, with the land use map, San Diego was a larger hamlet. We've narrowed it down to where it's at right now for the commercial.
I see.
But then in the land use table, we're making sure that everything that's in those hamlets are in that land use table, so we're not.
Can I ask a quick historical question? That Mississippi River Special Use District or whatever, how did that come to be and why?
The story I was always told was where it crosses the Mississippi River there from Monticello over to Big Lake is back in the 70s when the county adopted that. There was a lawsuit and there were some existing uses. So when you read some of those uses, they're really weird terms, but they must have been terms from back in the early 70s. And a judge determined where those boundaries were and what those specific uses were. And that's what's still in the ordinance and hasn't been changed. And the DNR has told us if we touch any of that Mississippi district, whether it's special use, recreational, or scenic, the DNR is gonna probably propose a lot of changes and we may not like what they have. So we are told just leave it alone. So that's what staff has done to this point.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that in the township, we leave alone.
But it was determined by a judge, that specific area and those uses. It was a court case, is my understanding.
I understand now. Okay.
Way before my time,
I
just for the record.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You are retiring, so yeah.
And procedurally, we should just open and close the public hearing on this because this is also a public hearing item, so I want to make sure that's part of the record.
Come again?
Hearing.
Public hearing, okay.
Because the zoning map is its own agenda item, it has to have an open and
I'm
closed
ready.
public hearing.
Any other questions for the staff? No? We will open a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Better tell them they only have 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, 3 minutes. Anyone here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Anything else on the map?
Is there any, does the planning commission have any recommendations or any kind of suggestions for us with regards to the zoning map?
Oh, it looks good.
Yep, so we'll just so we'll move this forward, as a, with the ordinance, with the recommended changes.
All right. And we will move to agenda item number 9, request for the adoption of the Sherburne County subdivision ordinance. Rescind Sherburne County subdivision ordinance number 003, adopted on December 21st, 1994, and adopt Sherburne County subdivision ordinance number 297 in its place, providing for related administrative actions. Any questions for staff on that?
Yes, quick rundown again with the 2040 comprehensive plan. Again, we are to update the subdivision ordinance, so which again was originally written or December 21st, 1994. Basically, the updates that we have are changes to administrative subdivisions. We're hoping to get some more in the scenic district. That's what we're waiting to hear back from the DNR. Removal of the residential plan unit developments, which we typically don't do any. Enhanced natural resource review and standards for new developments. Updates to buildable lot standards. And basically, we worked very closely with the county attorney's office, county surveyor's office to get more of the requirements, because a lot of it in our ordinance refers to the county engineer or deputy engineer or public works or surveying. So we brought them in. We wanted to make sure that we were all, on the same page, because zoning gets these plats up front and the county attorney's office and the county surveyors gets them on the back end. So we want to make sure that it's all laid out for the future potential developers, that they know the process of it. And the county surveyor had a lot of input on what they'd like to see on the preliminary drawings. So we updated those as well. But nothing substantial as far as the overall process. We did do that, streamlining of the standard plats, which we are keeping with that. That is something that we're happy with. But other than that, again, and renaming the simple plats to minor and the standard plats to major. The minor plat or the simple plats were anything but simple, so that will help with the wording. But again, it's laid out pretty clear on the process for the plats, what's required from the front end to the back end and recording.
Couple things, so there were challenges in this subdivision ordinance. We used to require only a soil scientist could do a soils report on a property. We opened that up to a broader group of, licensed professionals to be able to do that, because there's a very limited number of soil scientists in Minnesota. It's a small group of people, so we expanded that opportunity. We are trying to make it a little bit more flexible for administrative subdivisions in Sherburne County, incorporating additional districts in there. Getting rid of that RPUD that was never used.
Alternative soil.
Was a good thing. We also removed a provision in the ordinance that had for alternative soils. We saw a couple subdivisions go under the alternative soil standard, which allowed for lots to be developed with only 15,000 square feet of buildable area. Our current ordinance says 40,000. And to do the alternative standards, townships had to take on additional responsibilities. It really has not been something that's been utilized by, all but maybe 3 subdivisions in our history, 2 or 3 subdivisions. So it just didn't feel like that was still an appropriate thing to maintain in our ordinance. We tried to improve some of our language in dealing with natural resource protection and natural resource review. So we have additional constraints. We pulled SWCD on some of those matters. Increased buffers to wetlands for easements, because we had a lot of projects where they put the easement right up to the wetland boundary, and there's no setback to the easement, so people would propose to put up an accessory building, and then the accessory building's side slopes would encroach into a drainage utility easement, causing problems for our townships and potentially creating violations of wetland rules also. So the overall rework of this ordinance, a lot of very functional things that the professionals that deal in this ordinance needed to see done, whether it be the surveyors, the townships, the different entities within the county, all got to weigh in on this and really trying to improve the function of this ordinance. The biggest thing that's in there, we did talk about a net reduction in the minimum. So we kept the 40,000 square foot requirement, and we in Sherburne County had a 3-foot separation requirement. We're proposing to go down to 2 feet. What that would do is it would allow a little bit more opportunity to develop some properties in Sherburne County and some of our areas that have a little bit higher separation. State only requires 1 foot of separation for a septic system. We required 3 feet for all new development. We said you had to have 40,000. We are reducing that down to 24 inches instead of 3 feet, 2 feet. And this may open up some more opportunity for development.
Not in the shoreline.
Not in shoreline.
So.
I still disagree with that, but.
And where we will see that is gonna be more like San Diego Township, where you can't do a standard plat, but they're limited to subdividing any property because of that soil separation. We don't anticipate seeing standard or major plats with that. It does allow that, but it's more for those
and
high water table.
One of the things that was interesting at the
agricultural zoning.
steering committee, just to kind of, this is kind of a point that was kind of tossed back and forth, the soil separation. You know, Wright County doesn't have a soil separation requirement. Many counties do not have that minimum separation. It's kind of something that the county has taken on that's additional, that not all communities have. But we still maintain the 40,000 square feet. So really, you have to have an acre of land that has at least 2 feet of separation, where, you know, to build a house, you only need that 1 foot of separation to get a, you know, a septic system in. We still have a, what I consider a higher standard of what the state would require.
Okay. At this time, we will open the public hearing. Are there any other questions for staff? No? We'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone out there wishing to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else out there wishing to speak on this issue? I don't hear anything. Anyone want to speak on this issue?
Let's move to close the public hearing, please.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Have we done everything for the good of the cause tonight?
So what we're taking is we will bring this back in June and keep providing comments. If your townships have, you know, comment or reviewed them and discussed them, provide us those comments and we'll
Continue to make changes up until June, and then
And if
June it'll
it's
be.
a substantial change, then we'll have another public hearing.
Correct.
yes.
Otherwise, if it's just cosmetic stuff.
Yep. And then we'll get your formal recommendation at that time and get the county board with it.
Sounds good to me. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's go home.
So I,
You could have had 1 more hour.
Could have really filibustered that.
yeah, it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the check even went through. Really good. No, so, and of course, they had the class down in Plymouth, and it was on the Friday of fishing opener. Oh, yeah. And it's like, I know how bad it is because we used to come up from the cities to go to the cabins.
As long as I thought it would be.
So, yeah. Now I don't